Hello there and welcome to this vlog of April 2023, and today's video is just going to be a roundup of all the kind of Kickstarter things that we've had over the last couple of weeks leading into the final week of the Kickstarter, which actually ends on Thursday this week. I think it ends at 10 p.m. UK time, so that's going to be mid-late afternoon US time. So if you are still thinking about backing and you've still got a few days to do it, wonderful. What I'm going to go through on this video now is kind of the final straight running in regards all the data that we have and how the stretch goals have had an impact on what people will get in their final deliveries, because they've been changing that pretty much all the time over the last couple of weeks. I mean, when the Kickstarter was released, I think I did about 2 or 3 videos, and they're all now completely outdated. So all the intel in there is wrong. They've gone back and kind of fiddled with the stretch goals, which is kind of an interesting approach to it. I mean, they initially only had stretch goals up to 2 million. I'm pretty sure that they knew they'd go over 2 million, so I don't know why they just felt like, oh, we'll just do 2 million. Maybe it was kind of a marketing strategy where they thought, well, we'll just kind of edge the stretch goals into the campaign. And yeah, that can work for sure. I think the only issue is that in the initial days, there did seem to be quite a bit of confusion. And people were kind of scrambling around just trying to find out what had happened. Anyway, that's all old hat now. Over the last few days, I think Catalyst have really excelled themselves with how they deliver marketing strategy, which I'll go into in a second. I think they've just done a really, really interesting thing, which, it can be perceived as unscrupulous. Again, I'll go into the detail in a second. I don't believe that, though. I think this would be my counterpoint to that before I get into this, in case anyone has got complaints about how Catalyst have done this. And it's, to be frank, this isn't actually my point. This was actually a point that Aaron brought up with me from DFA, when we were chatting or shooting the breeze or whatever. And he made a really, really good point. I was complaining about something on the Kickstarter, and he was like, hang on a minute. We cannot criticise Catalyst for being commercial when they've literally, saved the IP. And there would be no BattleTech as it stands right now without Catalyst. So if they've got to make crunchy, hard commercial decisions, we need to give them the leeway to do that. And it kind of triggered something in my brain of, yeah, that's going to be kind of my de facto position from here on out. And it's correct as well. It's not a greedy decision. It's not something that there's any malice attached to it. It's just Catalyst are trying to do the best for their business and the best for the IP overall. And obviously, the more money that they get in on this Kickstarter, the more that, they can reinvest into the product, the more kind of sway and power that they're going to have with tops. So I think we've got to kind of always have that in the back of our mind if they make any decisions that are perceived as slightly manipulative. Anyway, yeah, let's get into this, because this news is steaming hot, and I'm just going to go through the news that dropped yesterday, which is kind of filtered through the community now, so I'm sure most people know about it, but I'll just give my 2 cents on it. I'm also then, in the back end of this video, I'm just going to give a final kind of prediction on where I think this Kickstarter will end up financially in terms of the stretch goals that we've got, etc., which is very, very tied into the news yesterday. So we're all kind of praying that we go over for 8 million on the Kickstarter, as you'll see in a second. So yesterday afternoon, they released the following. So this was the 8 million tier goal, which will unlock the following. So the first one, which I love this as well, it's got the Waco Rangers swag. I love the Waco Rangers, so I'll probably be getting one of those. The Scorpion Empire as well, which I think is an Ilkan periphery power. I think they're kind of an amalgamation of a few powers. Again, if you know me, you know that I don't really follow up with the Ilkan era yet. I will get into that eventually, I am sure, but I kind of know it through osmosis, but I don't know it in any great level of detail. The fourth Tau Ceti range is great, and the Somerset Strikers. So as soon as I saw that, I was like, huh, they're doing a Somerset Strikers patch. That's weird. For those of you who don't know, and if you don't know, I can't help you, I'm afraid, because this is like a quintessential BattleTech thing. The Somerset Strikers are the force under Adam Steiner from the 90s cartoon, which old men like me have like a real nostalgia for. I mean, it was pretty much the quintessential thing that got me into BattleTech. So I see anything Somerset Strikers or anything from that cartoon basically like gets my attention right away. One thing they did put on here, though, before we get into the incredible, crazy news, they are doing the Blood Asp salvage pack. So it does say in here that, here we are, battalion backers and above, oh sorry, no, that's the digital novels. Company backers and above, that's even better, will receive the salvage box Blood Asp. So that's anything above the $150 level, I think. The Blood Asp is a mech that I actually really like. It's a clan mech, it's a clan omni mech. So again, you know my thoughts on the clans, they're not really for me. But I have an affinity with a Blood Asp because it's the kind of final amazing unlock mech that you get in Mech Commander 2. It's an incredibly crunchy mech as well. It's got, just from memory here, it's got 2 Gauss rifles and like 4 or 5 heavy medium lasers. The heavy medium lasers are very crunchy. They're like Clan Tech. It's like new Clan Tech, so it's Clan Tech into the Fedcom Civil War. I think it's got a couple of medium pulses on there as well. It's an absolute monster of a mech. Looks great as well. It's got this really unique it reminds me a bit of the stealth power suits from Games Workshop Tau line. It's got those like big guns kind of coming off the shoulders. You can't really see it there, but yeah. Oh, here it is actually. There's a nice rent. Ah, there you go. Perfect. There's a little image of it there. So yeah, looks great. I always remember the versions that I've seen of it have like a beak. They've obviously dropped the beak and gone for a kind of a normalized cockpit, which is probably a good idea. But yeah, just it's an incredibly gunned mech. It's even got I think that's a Streak SRM6 just under the cockpit there, which is an interesting choice. So I'm really looking forward to get the Blood Asp. I'll certainly be using that somewhere in my forces. The Gauss rifles as well. That's the first time they've done Gauss rifles. I think that it's like how I think Gauss rifles look in my mind. If you kind of look at like the variants of the Gauss rifle they have on like the Highlander, for instance, from the last Kickstarter, it's got that kind of like triangular, gun barrel, which that makes sense I think in terms of the science of a Gauss rifle. But just in my mind, they look like almost like artillery pieces on a mech, and that's kind of how they've gone for on this. So it's nice to see them kind of experimenting with new designs for guns. That might be a clan thing as well. Maybe the Gauss rifles that I'm kind of, the ones with the triangle on there, maybe that's like a Star League design thing, and this is obviously a clan design, which is way, way in front of like the Star League era. Digital content there as well. I mean, the digital content, I always get it. Whether or not I can like sit and read it all is another matter entirely. Probably not, but for me, the more stuff that they put out like this, the better, because it just kind of enhances the kind of content across the entire brand. So if somebody really is into try to see what's happening here. So I don't know. There's Clan Steel Viper there, right? I can see their cheeky little logo. So if someone's really into Clan Steel Viper, they're like, oh, I'll read Shattered Honor because that's very much related to what I like. So all in favour of them doing things like this. And now for probably the best announcement ever that we could have got. I've speculated before about the stretch goals and the things that I thought we would get leading into this Kickstarter. And as you know from me, if you've watched me before, I'm very, very conservative. So I was very restrained on the amount that I thought this Kickstarter would make. Completely under-egged it from what's gone on, from the knowledge that we've got now. But I also did the same on the kind of units that we get, and I've been correct on that one. So I was like, don't expect them to start throwing in like all the TRO models from 3055. they said they were going to do over 50. I think they'd kind of got to 60, and they really wanted to kind of make this Kickstarter smaller than the last one. Last Kickstarter came in at over 90 models. This one's coming in at over 60. I just couldn't see them just going silly and starting to put loads of new designs out. But this is one thing now. This kind of does fall into the spectrum of crazy for me. Like, I'm like, if you'd have given me like a top 10 list of what I would have hoped for, so like, at the bottom of that list, it would have been like something like a Sai-San mech or something like that. A mech that I love personally, but I know the universe probably doesn't care about too much. Sorry, the wider BattleTech community doesn't care about too much. 10 though would have been what we got, which is a Somerset Strikers Force Pack. Oh my god, this brings so much joy to my heart. Let's just see what we're going to get here. So remember, this is for the 8 million mark. So we've got to cross that threshold to get it, and I'll talk about why I think that is possible in a few moments when I get into the back end of this video. But yeah, 8 million to do this. Although, before I talk about this, I was on the Anthony Scroggins' Patreon earlier on, and people had been like bombarding him with questions like, what happens if we don't meet 8 million? What happens if we don't meet 8 million? And he very categorically said on there, look, this is going to get made one way or another. So even if they don't do it through the Kickstarter, they'll release it as a box somewhere down the line. So, this isn't the be-all and end-all if we don't reach 8 million. Important to know that as well, because I know people will be very tense about this. So hopefully you see that and that puts you at ease, because we will be getting this at some point in the future. Anyway, let's talk about what we get here. So we get an Axeman, and this is the famous Adam Steiner, the AXM Mark II, and it's the variant with the two LRM-15s on the shoulders. A pretty garbage mech, honestly. I have a theory around this, that they designed that mech specifically for the toy range, because they wanted to do the Axeman, but they wanted something with missiles where they could kind of, like Tycho. It was much easier for them to make like something extravagant with a missile, like shoulders on there, as opposed to just a couple of like, AC weapons. The Axeman then has everything. It's got the LRMs for the kids to kind of, shoot at one another. You've got an axe. Who doesn't want an axe? And it has even got a, I think there's medium pulse lasers, I think, on one of the arms that's on the old toy, which is just sat up there somewhere. But my point is, it's like this wasn't a mech made for tabletop. On tabletop, it's hot trash fire. But just in terms of its like importance within the BattleTech like sphere, it's really quite an influential mech, this, because it's something, along with the video games, the cartoon is what people remember, right? So that Axeman is along with I think a few other mechs in this pack here, but also the summoner that Nikolai Malthus rocks. They're famous mechs in BattleTech. So yeah, got to do the Axeman. The big one though, the one that I honestly couldn't care too much about the Axeman, but this one I do care about. It's the Mauler. This is Zach Hawkins' mech. Again, it's sat up on one of the shelves somewhere. The Mauler is a mech that I've banged on about for ages. I think there are certain mechs that we just knew we had to get, like the Mauler, the Kintaro. Still not done the Kintaro, but we'll forgive them today of all days because we're getting the Mauler. The Mauler is one of those mechs that I'm just delighted to see get its kind of spotlight here. I think it's a mech that was desperately in need of a reimagining. They've made this version very, very chonky, which is exactly how it should be. The old metal model lacks chonk. This one doesn't, though, by the looks of it. We're getting a Bushwhacker as well. This is an alternate pose Bushwhacker. That's Velton Riders mech. That's a good one. I'm really happy with that. The Bushwhacker, the three they're from the toy range. So they're the three toys that you could get. I don't know what kind of... I think the variant is just a standard like 30-50 era Bushwhacker. So I don't think there'll be any other like... I don't think it'll be a different variant. I think it says that it does say alternate pose, so I presume that is the case. I would just interested to see what they do with that, because Volton Rider's quite like a dynamic, interesting, fun character. So they might do something quite crazy for that pose, which would be good. Next up, we got probably the second mech here that I'm most excited about. This is the Hatamoto Chi. It's just here. You can see there's an image for it here. It's basically the reimagined Draconis Combine variant of the Thug. So you can actually still play with the Hatamoto Chi with the new models, because there is a Thug. It comes in one of the Inner Sphere Force packs. It looks like a Thug. I mean, I actually run that. If I'm playing with Draconis Combine Forces, I will run it as a Hatamoto Chi. But this is the kind of I suppose the royal special variant of the Hatamoto Chi. It's got all the Japanese feel to it, but it's exactly the same weapon loadout. I think it's obviously got a slightly different construction to the Thug. So, like the original Star League Thug is an amazing mech. Then you kind of presumably get the Succession War Junker. This is a kind of along the lines of the Succession War Junker, but eventually it does get the kind of new tech on there beyond like the War of 3039. The only thing that I'm not, it's not a criticism as such, because it's in line with the Draconis Combine. I don't like the Draconis Combine mech shoulder pads, and I never have done. I always think they look really weird on mechs. We're getting this on the new Charger as well. Again, it keeps in line with the lore. That is the aesthetic of the Draconis Combine. It just, I don't know, it just doesn't feel right. It's just the way that they kind of slope up beyond the arm. I'm just not a big fan of that. I don't know why. It's just a personal thing. But yeah, it's great that we are getting a variant of this for sure. I mean, that is just lovely to see. Again, a model that desperately was in need of a refresh. The old metal model really doesn't stand up. The old metal Mauler is okay, but it's just badly scaled now. Like, it looks more like a 60-ton mech when you put it, against the new plastic models. And obviously, the Mauler should be an absolute tank mech. I mean, the clue's in the name, right? It's a big beast of a mech. And then finally, we're getting everyone's famous, bad guy, or the traitor, Ciro Ramirez in the Wolfhound. This is an alternate pose. We have now, we're going to have loads of Wolfhounds kicking around. I think there's one in the Mercenary box set, one of the Mercenary box sets that's already out. I can't remember which one. It's probably the Kellhounds or the Northwind Highlanders. Can't remember. Regardless, when we've got the special edition Wolfhound 2C as well, and we've got the Wolfhound that comes in the regular Force pack. So I think that gets us up to 4 Wolfhounds now. Truth be told, and this is a slightly controversial one, because Ciro is part of the Somerset Strikers for sure, and it'd be difficult to fit this in. I actually would have preferred an alternative post Centurion here, which is actually the original mech that Volton Rider rocks. That wouldn't make sense in terms of this pack, though, because then Volton would be in 2 mechs. I completely get why they have done this, and this is really the kind of correct lore decision. But we only have 1 Centurion, and to be frank, I'm really not keen on the sculpt of that Centurion. It's actually the only mech that we get on the plastic models that I proxy, because it's just too thin. So I actually put a shield arm on there, which is quite traditional for the Centurion. That I don't use. It's not like a component. It doesn't make any difference to how the mech plays. It just makes it look a little bit more sturdy. So yeah, it would have been nice to see that, but again, maybe, I don't know, they could have put that in there and then put the Wolfhound in what inevitably will be the clan pack variant of this, which will probably come out in the next couple of years. So that's going to have the Summoner in there, and the Vulture and the Mad Cat, maybe some elemental points as well. So yeah, because technically I know Ciro, I think, does go on to pilot a Mad Cat, I think, but it's kind of, he is a bad guy in this. He's only with the Somerset Strikers for a few episodes before he turns tail. Anyway, there you are. Best news ever. There's nothing bad about that. Despite my little critique there of the shoulder pads and the Wolfhound being in there, there's no criticism here. This is incredible. What a time to be alive. Let's just hope we meet that 8 million stretch goal. And then it does say here that you get, if you're a regiment backer and above, you will get this. I am a regiment backer and above, but I probably will add a few of this to my cart because it's one of those Lance packs that I think I'd like it just as like a collector's edition as well. So just in the box, like sat on a shelf somewhere, and then I probably would then get one, or at least one, maybe a couple to kind of use these mechs in other forces. I mean, I really am keen to get like the Mauler at the very least. Don't think it's. Oh, here we are. There's the Axeman render there. So that looks great. Actually, it's way better than the Axeman pose from the first Clan Invasion Kickstarter. The axe there just looks a lot more like like it's going to do something. I hated the poses of the Axeman and the Hatchet Man actually on the original Kickstarter. Like they're just kind of tucked away. Like you want it to be swinging, right? Like you want it in a dynamic pose. This is a much more dynamic pose. It's got kind of it's stepping forward. It looks like it's going to be on the attack. It's good to see as well they've updated the axe. The original Axeman axe on the cartoon is this really like spindly, weird thing. It looks like honestly looks like an axe that a wood chopper would use. This looks far more in keeping with like the new BattleTech design. So very good to see that. Right, let's do a little bit of checking then on where we're at. So this is what I'll do is I'll give a quick rundown of all the kind of the data that you now get from everything above company. I'm not going to deal with anything below company because I don't think they've really added anything into that. So you do get salvage boxes, but I mean you can just check here. On veteran you see you don't get the options of any of the force packs. So veteran is kind of I suppose the basic level of you just want the box and a bit of swag, and you get a few salvage boxes in there, so that's great. So we'll just deal with company and onwards here. Company, so you were always going to get 2 force packs anyway, and you're now getting 1 extra force pack because of the all the stretch goals that we've hit, and 3 mercenary salvage boxes, which again I think is a stretch goal thing. That's really good. I mean, for $150 you get an absolute ton there. You can see they do give the retail value amount approximately. That's absolutely correct as far as I am aware. If you kind of factor in how much those like 3 force packs would cost, plus you get in the mercenaries like box set as well. That's got 12 mechs in there, so that's great. The company store will ignore because that's for retail backers. The battalion level. These are the 2 that I think people are really interested in because this is where we are finding we get a lot of like stuff now. So we have got here, we get 6 force packs as standard. That was in the initial deal, but you now get 3 extra force packs of your choice. Plus as well, it says here 3 mercenary salvage boxes choice or standard or limited edition mercenaries box set. Yeah, okay, so there are some options there, but you choose obviously what you want to choose. That's again great. So that's 9 force packs as it currently stands. I'll go on to tell you why that might change in a second. Again, $620 to $711 retail value. Regiment level, this is where it starts to get slightly silly. So 12 force packs, and then that's on the core kind of agreement. Then you get 3 extra ones for all the stretch goal bonuses, and you get that 4 mercenary salvage boxes this time. So that is a ton of stuff. So that's 15 force packs that you get with regiment. So I noted that before, this Kickstarter got underway, people were saying, "Oh, can we get double force packs?" And Catalyst were like, "Nah, sorry, we can't do double force packs. Too much." We're basically getting into a point now where you're getting so much, like it's not double force packs, obviously, but there is so much coming along the pipeline here. It's like almost up to that level. Especially when you factor in that you get like core 12 force packs anyway, which I think is more than we got on the Clan Invasion. I don't think there was a $500 tier on that. I can't remember. I think it was like a $300 level. I shouldn't say this because I don't know off the top of my head. But regardless, we're getting a lot. And you might get more because I'm not going to deal with Big Capet, by the way, because that's a crazy one. And there are none of them left. They actually did another 10 of these, I think. But But yeah, we'll just ignore that one for now. Stretch goals. So if we go to the 7 million stretch goal, which is there are two locked here. We've got three. There's the 6 million, but I think that'll be passed very shortly. I think I've discussed that one. I think they announced that a while back now. So that's one where we're getting the extra pack with the pattern, the Pike support vehicle, the J. Edgar, and the Drillson. That's a lovely pack, actually. That will be hit, no doubt about it. 6.5, we're getting some swag in there and a book as well, by the looks of it, or an audio book actually. And then actually the audiobook's a good one to get. Like, I mean, I do a lot of travel with work, so that will be nice for me. If they give me a few audiobooks that I can just sit and listen to, I'll very much enjoy that. This is the one that we're going to focus on today, though. Or, we've already done the 8 million one, obviously. But you can see here on the 7 million, company level backers receive 1 free force pack. Battalion level backers and up receive 2 free force packs. So that then turns your battalion into 11 force packs as opposed to the previous 9. And it turns your regiment into 17, which is, again, getting into silly territory now, I think. A little bit deceptive that they put this picture by the 7 million, because this is one of the legendary packs which isn't available as a free force pack. You have to buy that as an add-on. At least I'm 99% sure you will have to. So yeah, that shouldn't be there. It should be a vehicle pack, or one of the like the Inner Sphere or the new clan packs that's associated with this Kickstarter. 7.5, we are getting another free audio book. So it's a Jason Schmetzer one as well, so that will be good. Jason is readily seen as the best BattleTech author operating within the current generations. Obviously, I don't include people like Michael Stackpole in that. Michael still writes for BattleTech, but I'm talking about the new wave that are coming through. I think Jason is very, very well thought of. So that will be, hopefully we can get that. And 8 million we've discussed already. Quite level of detail. That will be the last Kickstarter stretch goal. So, or at least I think it will be. I don't think they can do another one now, really, because that's going to be difficult to get to. Will we go above 8 million though? That is the absolute burning question here. So we're going to just do a little bit of data analysis. This is a site called ClickTrack, which DFA and I use when we've done our analysis, just to see kind of what estimates are on projections. Really, really good data site. You got to be slightly careful with the projections. This is just like an algorithm, so there's no kind of human thought behind this. It's just kind of all the data gets pumped into this algorithm, then it spits out figures. It's really, really useful to see the funding progress by day. If you go to projections though, it's skewered. If we just go on to that, you can see it's talking about ranges there, high and low, but those figures change as accordance with the day rate. So it's just a sophisticated mathematical equation. I don't think this is right now. I mean, I'm absolutely certain we'll go above 7 million, but again, this is just an algorithm, so you can ignore the projection. We'll go on to daily data though, and why this figure is going to really pop towards the last few days here. So if you see it, so it starts on the whenever it was it the 23rd of March, something like that. That the Kickstarter was announced. So it did 3.3 million on day 1, 750,000 on day 2, over 300,000 on day 3, and then it really starts to kind of drop off. So you start to see then you in and around an average of $60,000-$70,000 a day. I mean, they had a good day yesterday. They did 144. That was probably off the back of the 8 million announcement for the stretch goals. He had a few more people bumping up their levels to regiment. That's, again, when I talked at the start of this video about them being a little bit Machiavellian in doing this, they are only giving the Somerset Strikers box to people over regiment. That's as a freebie. Again, I don't think there's any problem with that. I think it's a good commercial decision because we need to see people turning those battalions into regiments, and that's a good way to do it. So again, complete understandable decision by Catalyst, and in my opinion, the right decision. So one other tab that I'm going to look at here, we're going to look at the Clan Invasion Kickstarter as a cross comparison. So you can see here, this is actually a really good, like valley curve that you get on the day rates. So you can see going into the last 2 days, there is a massive spike. Now, if you kind of look at it as a percentile of that first day, so it's looking here like I don't know exactly what it is. It's like 75% or something around there of the first day. The second day as well. The second last day as well. The penultimate day actually did more money than the second day of the clan invasion Kickstarter. And when you look at these figures as well, you can really start to see how BattleTech has grown. I mean, that's quite an incredible feat. So if we kind of operate on that premise, I mean, again, there's no reason to think that it shouldn't do that. So you're probably looking on the final day that we'll get something along the lines of... it's difficult to gauge it. Like, we're in higher quantities of money here, right? So we're not dealing with like hundreds of thousands now. We're dealing with millions. So is it going to be... If you're looking at it statistically, you'd say, it'll probably be 2.8 million. I don't think it will be that much. I think you're probably looking more along the lines of like 1.82 million on the final day. Second, or the penultimate day as well, you'll probably see a spike. So you might see like, 500,000 coming in on the penultimate day. That then, I believe, if we kind of say it's going to be in around another 2 million, where does that leave us? Well, if we go onto the dollar rate here, that just it could be a tight one. So that puts us in at 7.9. If we say 2 million, so we need to get obviously 2.1. There are, though, remember, going to be there's a couple of days where they are going to take in, maybe $50,000 to $100,000 before the penultimate day kicks off. So that will obviously hopefully get us over that line. So do I think we'll reach 8 million? I'd give it a 60% chance. Again, really hard to gauge because we're in like uncharted territory here. Desperate to get it. That means then that we get, that Somerset Strikers will then be released as part of the Kickstarter, which means that, that all the regiment backers will get it for free. So I'd love to see that. Again, going back to my previous point, though, they are going to release it eventually, as Anthony Scroggins has already confirmed. So we will get it, but I would love to be able to get it in the Kickstarter. That would be sweet. It bodes well. I think, final point here, let's just have a look at the numbers that it's doing. So this is the day rate on the amount of backers. Just compare this to the clan invasion, right? So we had... what have we got? On the first day, there were about 2,500 backers on Clan Invasion. On the first day for Mercenaries, over 12,000. That's incredible. Well done to everybody for that one. Again, just a real testament to how much this has grown. If we add all these together, I think you're in and around like the... What is it? Actually, it should tell us... 19,000 backers. Okay, that number looks quite skewed. I would imagine there'll still be another 3,000 people out there that are just waiting to back. That kind of, that tallies up. If we kind of look at those percentiles on the finances there, you probably would be estimating another 3,000 to maybe sign up. That really does run in line with the pledge support that they had on the original email collateral as well. So when they sent those email out asking like people to sign up or to pledge just so they had an estimate, I think it was in and around 23,000 people. So if we kind of say, just my terrible math here, 19,000 to make up for that is, 3,000 people. So that would be my estimate. So do I think we'll go over 8 million? Yes, I do. I'm just going to put my money where my mouth is. I think it's a good chance of it happening. I think we're talking about 65% chance of it happening. If it did happen, I think it would be like champagne cocktails for breakfast. I've said this before. When I did my estimate, and I estimated this Kickstarter would do 3.1 million, which was incredibly conservative, but I usually think it's better to err on that side rather than kind of going down the hyperbole line. So 3.1 million, very, very wrong, but would have been very solid if this Kickstarter had done 3.1 million. I don't think anyone would have massively complained about it. Catalyst may have been upset about it and would have expected more, but I think the public would have been like, yeah, that's great. Solid build there. To go over 8 million, though, is... you're talking a different level of everything. Just everything. Tops will be looking at that now like, look at this. Do they now put some, real investment into this? Do they start to kind of plough money into kind of the marketing side of it? New websites, things like that, things that we really desperately need to kind of get BattleTech on a more like equal footing with the big players around, like whether it's Dungeons and Dragons, which is the Coast Games Workshop. At the moment, BattleTech is not there. It doesn't look like it's there. You know, like, and I don't mean there's any disrespect to Catalyst because they work with what they've got to work with, but the website isn't great. They clearly have like a limited marketing budget. They did just bring in a marketing person just to do it for them full time, so that's a great sign. But I'd really like to start to see them like pushing quite hard beyond the frontiers of the kind of core fan base like me. It needs to get out there. It needs to kind of be something that, you know, is a real viable option for people interested in like that 6mm scale on tabletop or are really kind of into the lore. We've got massive advantages with this with the IP because of the video games as well. That reaches an audience that like tabletop never could. So, you know, things just looking very, very sweet at the moment. It's I know everyone's been saying this for years. I've been saying it for 2 or 3 years. You know, what a time to be alive and see this happen with BattleTech. But, you know, it just keeps getting better. I mean, I think every expectation we had have just been destroyed. I'm desperate for them to get over that 8 million. I mean, I'm contributing a pretty significant amount. I'll put it to this way, I worked it out. If we do hit 7 million and we get those extra Force packs, I will be getting 50 Force packs now on the from the Kickstarter, which is slightly insane. I remodeled my Kickstarter as well. I'm now just getting 1 regiment and 3 battalions. I just worked out what the kind of best bang for my buck was, and you know, I wanted to get regiment regardless because I want the kind of swag options that you get with regiment, because there is some collectible stuff in there, and we obviously get the free Somerset Strikers box as well if we go over 8 million. So yeah, just glorious, absolutely glorious. This is going to be a really fun week, I think. Again, if you do want to back the Kickstarter, I'd certainly do it by Wednesday. I mean, I just don't know when your time, status is. You know, if you're in Asia, obviously it'll be different as if you're in Europe or America. So if you're going to do it, I'd do it by Wednesday. You know now, there's no more risks attached to this per se. Like, it's not like, oh, they're not going to meet the goal. I mean, I think they hit their goal in under a minute. So, yeah, this is a safe Kickstarter for sure. And those stretch goals that they've put in just mean that we get a lot of extra stuff in the kind of final product. Anyway, I'll leave that here with a smile on my face. Somerset Strikers, information is ammunition, all that good stuff. And I'll hopefully catch you again in the next video.